out here. They're trimming all these trees, and at the same time I had to move my Corvette, and at the same time my fuel pump stopped working, and now it's parked on the street, and I need to replace it. I've got a cold, it's freezing, but we gotta get this done, so I'm not gonna be a baby. I'm gonna just put on my big old pants and get her done, as they say. So it's gonna be a little bit loud. Let's go. Oh, and while you're here, thank you so much for watching. Please click the like and subscribe button so you'll never miss all my ridiculous videos. All right, let's go. So this is a new fuel pump. I'm not 100,000% sure that this is, but it's not getting fuel pressure, and it's been slowly going out, and I don't hear the pump even priming anymore. Ooh, stickers. Alright. It's pretty straightforward, so let's go to the car. So we'll go to the car, we'll get the old fuel pump out, we'll bring it into the garage, and we'll replace all these things. Now, replacing this fuel pump in my 1989 Corvette is vastly different from the job of replacing it in my 1991 Camaro. For that car, you had to drop the entire rear end, the diff, everything, to be able to pull the actual fuel tank out of the vehicle to get to the fuel pump. Now, there's a hack. You can cut a trapdoor in your trunk under the carpet, but I was not about to, hack up my precious 91 Camaro. Never would, can't do that, could never see myself doing that. So, I took it the hard way. Now, the only real hard part about this job are these hoses right here. 1, 2, 3. Those things are like JB welded on. I've never seen anything like it. It was absolute torture trying to get these things off. And there's not a lot of leverage because of where they are. You see that little access hole right there, that little circular hole? Well, because my hands and my wrists are so tiny, it's to my advantage. I can put my hand in there, I can squeeze my little paws in very tight places. I can't imagine like a grown man with big man hands trying to do this job. I don't see how that would really work out for them. At one point in time, I got so frustrated with these hoses, I thought, gosh, am I absolutely positive that this is the problem? Am I positive that it's not a blown fuse? Now, I had already listened for the fuel pump and I could hear it. I had heard it dying. And, when I went to turn the car on, it was definitely not priming, but my paranoia got the best of me. So I pulled out my multimeter and I tested just to make sure that that little connection was actually getting power. Multimeters are great for testing stuff like that. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. So it did in fact get power. So I knew, if it's getting power, it has to be the fuel pump or connection, within that area. So by far the hardest part of this job has been removing these fuel lines. That's gonna kill me, but we're getting through it. So thankfully, once those hoses are out of the way, it's a pretty simple job of just unbolting the bolts. You hear that? You unbolt the bolts. You may be wondering why I don't put that cap back on while I'm taking these bolts off. It's simply because I couldn't really access the bolts with the cap on. You know, no big mystery there. There are a couple bolts under the hard lines that are tricky to get to, and I had to use this teeny tiny little 10 millimeters, like the size of my pinky finger, to get one of the bolts off. They're these little 10 millimeters. But again, nothing compares to the hellaciousness of those hoses. This part of the job is like cake. P.S. I'm wearing jeans so I can have pockets. Here she comes. Oh, she's dirty. She's a dirty girl. Yeek. It's actually not even as bad as the one in my Camaro, but it's still pretty bad. And there had been a lot of fires this week, so I was truly terrified that somehow the car would spontaneously combust into flames, or I would spontaneously combust into flames. So you'll see me scurrying back to my garage with the crappy, crusty old fuel pump in hand, as fast as I can. Okay. Out with the old and in with the new. We're gonna obviously use the same sending unit itself, but this fuel pump and this little pickup net thingy's gotta go. I thought I was gonna have to reuse this rubber piece, but the rubber piece doesn't fit with the new fuel pump, so I didn't need that after all. The disappointment was that it didn't come with a new sleeve. The old sleeve was like rotting away, and I didn't want to reuse it, obviously, and I'm sure it already left remnants in my fuel tank. The grip, that metal grip that goes around the pump, it was too big. I squeezed it down, no big deal, but it didn't give a real tight, secure connection. So I brought out my trusty zip ties, using the clear ones because I hate these stupid clear ones, and I wanted to use them up. Now, I ended up keeping this pulsator on. The kit comes with this like black little hose, and you can remove the pulsator. All the pulsator does is it's like a dampener. It controls the fuel pressure, which I just left it. So sue me. Tell me why I should have or shouldn't have. So this connector here, the whole kit comes with a brand new connection connector. This wire, this red wire, replaces that purple wire. Don't ask me what that wire's for. I don't know what it's for. I just know that it goes there and that I need it. And that pretty much sums up the whole kit. It's pretty darn easy. Now, my Camaro was hell to get the unit back in the tank. I spent probably 2 hours just like trying to fiddle it in and guide it in. It was weird. It was like this Bermuda Triangle, no, a Rubik's Cube. It was like a Rubik's Cube thing. Now this pump going into this tank was just simple. Guide it in, plop it down. And the kit even came with a new gasket and new bolts. And if you're going to ask me what those torque specs were on those bolts, I'm not going to tell you. But they work very nicely, these bolts. The level of joy that you get when there's a problem with the car and you think you know what the problem is and you replace the part and it happens to be the problem is like, I can't describe it. It's indescribable. It's like a high. Like, I was high when my car started. I had done a test with the connector, so I put the key in the on position and I tested the connector with my multimeter to see if it was getting power, and it was. So if it was getting power, I knew it wasn't like a fuse or any kind of connection on the car, and it had to be subbing with the fuel pump. Once I got those hoses off, it was pretty much a piece of cake. The kit was great. I wish it came with a new sleeve to go around the fuel pump, but it didn't. Mine was disintegrated. This guy right here. I tried to reuse it and then it started like falling apart, and I didn't want this to like disintegrate in my fuel tank, so I didn't reuse that. It came with a new gasket, it came with new bolts, it came with a new connector. I mean, $100. I'm really excited about that. So, wow. I'm gonna have a happy weekend now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. So I had been feeling sick. I thought it was a cold. I was feeling stuffy, sore throat, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, on Friday when it came time to do this job, I was like, I'm feeling better. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Corvette needs a new fuel pump. Let's go. Let's make up for all the lost time that I've had being a baby with a runny nose. I go outside, I do the fuel pump, and I start not feeling great, but I'm thinking it's the gas that I'm smelling, or the heat, or like the noise of the tree trimming. As the job progresses, I get progressively more ill, I guess I could say, and I probably wasn't even thinking straight, but I was on a mission, because the whole time I'm replacing this fuel pump, I'm thinking about like the fires that are going on, and I'm working with gasoline, and I'm thinking in my head my car's gonna explode, and I'm gonna be the one that starts a fire in my town. Clearly that was probably the low-grade fever that I had talking, but it was still a concern. When I wrapped up that whole project, and I went in the house, it was like, my body was like, screw you, what the hell were you doing out there? Because in my head, my body talks like, you know, like a 1980s gangster. It was like Ray Liotta from Goodfellas talking to me. He was like, what the F are you doing out there, you stupid son of a... So I get in the house and I'm like, Mom, my body aches. Why does my body ache? But I'm cold and I'm hot and I'm cold and I'm hot. And I got the chills. And why does my body ache? My throat got so swollen, I thought I was gonna have to go to like the emergency room, which I didn't, and that's fine. Anyways, I suffered it out the whole weekend, suffered more and more. I finally went to urgent care, actually just yesterday, and I have what they call the walking ammonia. I can't even spell ammonia, but I've got the walking ammonia. It sounds like the Walking Dead, but apparently a lot of people have it right now, so I'm not special, but maybe special up here. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when I'm well. But man, nothing beats working on a domestic car. I love working on my Chevys and I love working on my Ford, but my Bentley is calling, and I do have to address the passenger side suspension stuff. Let me tell you, those fever dreams that I had, they were all about the Bentley. All of them. It was like I was having these irrational fever dreams, and it was always working on that car right there. Creepy. Anyways, I'm not contagious, so please come and visit me. I'll see you soon.